So I got an email from my old college, Blackpool College, asking if I would go in and help the students with professional development. When I pointed out that would mean a 400-mile round trip and probably an overnight stay, they said, could you perhaps record a video instead? So I thought, why not? And it also gives me a good way of getting across general information for students, no matter what they're studying. I'll do it as a Q&A, nice, simple, straightforward format. So these are the questions that they sent me with fairly succinct, fairly short answers, because otherwise we could be here all day. They're quite open-ended things, really. First, really simple question. When did I attend Blackpool College and what did I study whilst I was there? I was at Blackpool College from 1995 to 1998 and I studied for a degree in photography. Easy starter, that one. What pathway did I take after leaving college? After college, I moved down to London where I worked as a freelance assistant for around 30 different photographers in almost every type of photography you can imagine. Fashion, advertising, still life, cars, celebrities, portraits, glamour, you name it. I worked for all sorts of different photographers. Had a fantastic time, got a massive range of experience. And then in 2001, I basically set off on my own as a freelance photographer in my own right. How would I describe my job to a young person using simple language? What a lovely question. Using simple language, I would say that I am commissioned by magazines, advertising, PR and design agencies to create photographs and videos. That's it, really. Obviously the job gets much more complex than that, but that's it in simple terms. Can I think of any turning points that explain where I am today? Being honest and thinking this is aimed at students, I would say work experience. Both work experience when I was 15, still at school, and went to my local paper in the East Midlands and did work experience at their photographic department. And then later on when I was 19 at college and went down to London and did work experience with the sort of photographers I ended up assisting. Both instances totally transformed my view of photography and how photography worked and what was out there in the wider professional world. Both of them really fired me up and got me passionate about doing it, and both of them made me determined to actually stick at it and go and do it for a career. What interesting stories do I have about my job or career pathway that would help bring it to life for the young people? Proudest moment, most challenging event, favourite day at work, etc. It's very difficult to pick one or even a few. Obviously I've been doing this now since I left college for very nearly 20 years, and the nature of freelance work means that it is different almost every day and every week. I've had all sorts of interesting, exciting stuff. I've been paid to travel effectively all over the world. I've photographed no end of celebrities who may or may not be fun to work with. I've worked with the armed forces at various stages, which has been all sorts of fun. I've photographed Olympic medalists. I've been up in helicopters, private jets, penthouse apartments. I've been on film sets. I've photographed underwater. It's a job that brings a huge amount of variety and challenge on a very regular basis, and that's one of the things that I love most about it. What skills and qualifications do I think are important in the workplace, and how can young people develop these in school? Let me just refer to my notes, which I made yesterday. Above all, I would say really boring, but organisation and reliability, particularly when you're just starting out. That comes under the sort of broader heading for me of self-reliance. It keys into what's coming up in the next question about work experience. And you can develop some of this, I think, by not leaving everything to the last minute at college, honestly. Complete your assignments ahead of time and give yourself a bit of leeway. Don't make everything a last minute panic and, oh my God, I'm never going to get this done, and always end up rushing and things being a mess. Get your act together, okay? If you're in anything creative, there's a very high chance you'll end up being freelance and self-employed. And unfortunately, if you are freelance and self-employed and you are not organised and together, you don't last very long. It's as simple as that, because there's nobody else to pick up after you. And if you continually keep dropping the ball, you will just go out of business very quickly. The students in the workshop will be going on a work experience placement, and we're trying to get them to think about professional behaviour. Are there any tips you would give them about working in the workplace? Yes, see earlier question. Get there early, stay late, solve problems, don't create them. Not only did I do work experience, it was hugely influential for me, but I've obviously since had lots and lots of people on work experience, some of whom I will have forgotten about the second they walk out the door. Possibly because they didn't make any contribution at all, possibly because I'm desperate to forget them because they've been such a pain in the backside. I have had people come on work experience who have been wonderful, who have gone on to work for me. Fantastic, that's what we're looking for. What I've had far too often is people who call me with 1,001 different problems. They can't find the studio, they've turned up on location without any of their own kit and it's wet and it's cold and I'm not happy. I haven't brought anything to look after themselves, or they've lost their wallet, their travel card, etc. I don't care. Sorry to sound really hard-ass. I don't care. You know, if you're coming on work experience or you're assisting or you're just starting out, you are there to solve problems for people, not create problems for people. Okay, so like I said earlier about developing working habits, develop a bit of self-reliance. You know, find where you're going, work it out on a map, get there early, come with coffee. Okay, don't expect to be looked after. Make sure you're prepared physically for what might happen during the day. You know, speak to the photographer beforehand about what's the day, are we on location, you know, are we going to be outdoors? And then, and this is really crucial, when you're there working for somebody on the day, remember that you're doing work experience. And I'm sorry if this sounds arrogant, but you are the lowest of the low at that point. Do the mundane jobs. Do them happily. Do them willingly. Volunteer to do them. Do them before you're even asked to do them. Okay? Sweep the studio floor. Make the coffee. Make sure everybody's warm and fed and looked after. Okay? Because that's your job. You're not being there to be pampered. You're not being there to be the centre of attention. You are there to gain work experience, and if you want to get your foot in the door, you will make a really, really good impression by working very, very hard indeed. Can't stress that enough. I know that's how I got my foot in the door all those years ago when I did my 2 bouts of work experience, was I just worked my backside off. Okay, and that's what's impressed me about people who have gone on to actually work for me. They didn't turn up and expect the world owed them a living. They turned up, knew they were at the bottom of the food chain, and put the hours in. What one piece of advice would I give to my teenage self about life, school, and the future? That's quite a deep philosophical question. I thought about this for a little bit, and having just been reading up on this sort of thing I'm about to talk about just this week, what I would say to my teenage self, myself when I was at college, is that you can use anxiety. It's okay to be anxious about things. Being anxious about something is actually often a signpost that you're heading in the right direction, that you're doing something that's challenging. So you can use that anxiety and don't let it paralyze you. The flip side of this, and the sort of the bonus I feel, is that if you're passionate about what you're doing, you know, whatever it is that's making you anxious, if you're passionate about it, that's also a very good sign, and that passion will get you through the anxiety, and that passion will let you develop the drive to put the work in. And you'll need that because it's a very, very competitive market out there, and if you don't put the work in because you're not passionate about it, you won't get very far at all. So yes, to my teenage self, who had a lot more hair, I would suggest use the anxiety, don't let it paralyze you, and remember that the passion you've got for it is probably more powerful than that anxiety. Right, I hope that's helpful to students at Blackpool and the Fylde, or anybody else watching this who happens to be a student. I could go into enormous depth on pretty much all those topics, to be honest, because each of them could be extended to a whole blog series, or essays, and God knows what. If you want more information about that sort of thing, loads and loads of the posts at my blog, photosmudger.com, cover studying at college, making your first steps, setting out on work experience, all that sort of thing. Just head over to photosmudger.com and stick those sort of terms in a search engine and you should come back okay. Good luck.